We are back. We are live. We're ready to go. Nice, beautiful, rainy day here with Jordan Jones. Um, Jason Burton, Virginia DC Scouting Director, joined by, of course, the aforementioned Jordan Jones, Assistant Scouting Director. We are here for another episode of High and Tight.
Okay, let's do this thing.
Jordan, y'all still have snow on the ground over there?
Yeah, we do actually. A lot of snow and a lot of ice.
Yeah, just rain here, but apparently schools don't go when it's raining outside now. So got kids and wife and everybody sitting at home. Just a nice, beautiful, dreary, rainy day. But I think vast majority of people across the state are out of school today. So we are recording this Wednesday morning. This will run on Wednesday night. We are here to recap the Freshman Free, Rising Stars, and Preseason All-State Nova from this past weekend. Absolutely packed weekend this past weekend. Not going to slow down anytime soon. So it's a busy, very busy time for us. But really, honestly, wouldn't have it any other way. Getting ready for the high school season, getting to see some players before the season starts, getting to see some jumps from guys. So that's always a good time. Now, upcoming schedule, just to give everyone just kind of an idea of kind of where we go from here. Obviously, we had the 3 events this past weekend. This upcoming weekend, we will have another, 4 events, technically. We will have a preseason All-State West on Saturday in Lynchburg at Powerhouse Training Facility in Lynchburg, Virginia. We have over, I think it's right at 35 players registered for that right now, and some pretty good ones. I know Jordan's a little upset. We won't rehash any bad memories. We give Jordan the yips on here. And then the same time, Jordan will be at the Freshman Free and Rising Stars event in Northern Virginia, complete game. They have right at 70 players for that event. So in 2 weekends, we'll see basically right at 150, 135-ish players from Northern Virginia. But usually we have some people from outside of that area, but the vast majority are from the Northern Virginia, D.C. area. So he will be there on Saturday evening. Jordan and Jerry Shank and John Nolan, among others, will be at the event, a complete game in Manassas. It looks to be a really, really good event. Schedules are already out for those two, as well as the schedule is out for preseason All-State Richmond. That continues to, I don't want to say blow up, but it continues to grow significantly. I think Jordan and I were looking at it it seems like yesterday, but it was probably 3 weeks ago. And we were 20 kids. Man, this event's usually, right at 100, which we've added some events, which makes sense, that some events are going to get smaller when you add more events. But now we're right at 70 players for that event on Sunday at Iron Bridge in Chester. All 4 of those events, registration will close on Thursday night. So tomorrow night at midnight, registration will close. There will not be any registrations accepted after midnight on Thursday. So make sure if you're intending to register to get those in. If you see this and you say, hey, I requested an invite, but I haven't heard anything, I would recommend reaching out to us ASAP. And we will get back to you, DM us, email, text, whatever it is. Reach out to us, ask, and we'll try to get it squared away for you. The following weekend are our last 2 high school age preseason events, because the high school season fully, officially, with private and public, either have started or will start for public on February 24th, Jordan. So we will have our final 2 preseason All-State events Next weekend in Ashburn, that'll be our second Northern Virginia preseason All-State. Back again at Replay Baseball. And then on Sunday, we will be in Norfolk at Coastal Sports Center to see some players from the 757. And I think we're right at 60 players for that event. So that event continues to grow as well. So ready to get down there to the beach, hopefully to find some better weather. But one thing is for sure, I don't know if we'll find weather. We're going to find players.
Absolutely.
Because there's always players in the beach. Jordan, anything to add on any events or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just been a good start so far to our winter events. Good way to identify you before the spring season starts. So if you want to be identified early before the spring starts, I really recommend you request for to come to an event.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely gives us a head start on where we're going. And we'll get into some of those pop-up guys and some of those standout guys from events from this past weekend. But before we do, season previews, they are running now. We started with what? Vista 3, right?
Yeah, Vista 3.
We started with Vista 3, and then we have Vista 2, Division 2 going today. And then we would roll out Vista Division 1 tomorrow. So those are all loaded up stories. We apologize if we did not get your preview in there. But there's a good chance if we didn't get your preview in there, you did not submit your preview. And I say submit your preview, just giving us some direction, right? There's some teams that we know a ton about. And there are some teams, understandably so. There's probably right at 400 teams in the state of Virginia between private and public schools that have baseball programs. We're not always able to see all 400, especially when we get out into the really deeper part of the states, I guess you could say, not as populated. So it helps us be able to highlight your program and your team. We've put out a zillion tweets with questionnaires and forms and all that stuff. If you haven't gotten it in for public schools, get them in ASAP. Probably once Friday gets here. As far as like class 1 and 2 and probably 3, where we won't be really accepting any more of those or changing anything that's already in there. And 4, 5, and 6 still have a few more days after that. So season previews will start to run public school next week. And then they'll run for what, Jordan? 2 or 3 weeks? Yeah. They'll run for 3 weeks. And then after that, Jordan, you know what comes right after that? Right after season previews, what kind of stories, what kind of content we're rolling out?
Power 25.
Power 20, Jordan's excited. Power 25 rolls out. We start that on February 24th, so not this upcoming Monday, but the following. We will start to roll that out. I think that first week we roll out the top 15, so 3 a day for 5 days. And then the following week, we will roll the top 10, 2 a day for 5 days. And that will take us, into the start of the high school season. So we try to get that stuff taken care of before the high school season starts. And then right as the high school season starts, we will take a glimpse into our all-state teams, our honorable mention, our second team, first team, underclass team, all of that stuff. We will do those as well as what we call picks to click. That will take a look at preseason or potential players of the year. I shouldn't say preseason. Potential players of the year candidates. Understand that list of 20 potential players of the year, those are not the only people that can be players of the year, but that's just kind of who we establish is having a good chance. Now, I also want to preface all of these stories with Power 25 and season preview and all state teams and all that stuff. I want to preface that with, if there's a transfer that we don't know about or a player is injured that we don't know about, we hear things, but sometimes we don't always get responses if someone is injured. Obviously, if someone's injured, we're going to find out because we're going to come to a high school game and they're not going to be playing. So, in the long run, like, we'll figure that out. But we just want to apologize for any mistakes or any missteps before they happen. Hopefully they don't happen. But sometimes programs aren't always bundles of information. And it's hard to kind of get some answers sometimes. So if we speak about someone who's out for the season, or we put someone in who's out for the season, we apologize, but we are just unaware of the fact that they are out. We'll also feature some news stories, some breakout season performers, guys that we think have a chance to break out this year and have a huge year, as well as another news story, and those are impact players. These are players that we think mean a great deal to their program in terms of the success of their season and the success of their team this year. So those are kind of some new stories that will roll out. And then we'll also look at and then we also have scrimmages coming up, March 1st and March 8th. Jordan, how many will we have? Four. Oh, I want to say we have 12. We have like 20 teams, roughly. Or no, 21 teams, I think, in the Richmond area on those 2 weekends that will participate in scrimmages at their respective sites where we have host sites and host teams. And hopefully this rain takes a turn and we get some sunshine and get some scrimmages in on March 1st and March 8th. And then the Commonwealth Classic comes up in April. So it's just kind of recapping a lot or previewing, I should say. I shouldn't say recapping, previewing a lot that we have going on over the next, 6 to 8 weeks. Jordan, anything else to add on to any of that?
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff coming out preseason. I know a lot of teams are getting excited, so it's kind of a little preseason early look, kind of push us forward going to the spring season. So get a good look at those for the spring starts.
And what are you? I mean, besides the obvious, just getting back out on the road, getting out from behind that computer, we're all excited for that. But like, what are you looking forward to the most? As we get ready for the spring.
Yeah, like I think one of my favorite parts of the spring, was finding like that diamond in the rough, or someone that we haven't seen before, or just someone just has taken a significant jump. I think that's probably my favorite part of the spring. Just finding those guys that they've really taken a step and given them a good chance, playing at the next level or getting to whatever school they want to go to. That's really my favorite part of the spring, just finding those guys that somewhat come out of nowhere. So that's my favorite part. I'm looking forward to the spring.
Yeah, those are always fun. And it's even more fun is when we get a chance to see that jump before the season starts at a winter event and give us some direction, so that way we're not searching high and low to find that guy. So just a reminder, for this weekend's events, you have until Thursday night at midnight. For next weekend's 2 events, before the high school season fully gets going, you have until Thursday night of next week to get into those. So, all right, what we all came here for, 14 minutes in. Jerry and I were almost done with their pod at this point. But 14 minutes in, we're going to get to what we're all here for. We're going to talk about events from this past weekend. We're going to talk about Freshmen Free and Rising Stars for Richmond. That's what we're going to start off with. Now I'm going to run you through some statistical leaders, okay? If you want the full list, go to the site. Everything is up there. Infield velocity, outfield velocity, catcher velo, pop time, jump heights, hand speed, bat speed, distance, max distance, spin rates, RSI jumps, 30 times, everything that you would ever want, need, or imagine for stat leaders and where you stack up and all that stuff. One, comparing player to player, however you want to term it. It is all right there. So make sure you get over to the site. Jordan has that stuff rolling out on social media. But stat leaders, infield velocity, Tucker Von Herbulis, 84 miles an hour. Outfield velocity, Cole Cornelius, 85 miles an hour. Parker Thomas led catcher velo with a 76-mile-an-hour catcher velo. Parker Thomas also led with 199 to 212 pops. Exit velo, top exit velo was Mason Eubanks. So it looks like those Charlottesville boys kind of brought it a little bit with Parker and Mason, and those guys out there from that Charlottesville, kind of getting into the Valley area region, and leader we got a three-way tie for leader for max fastball. Trevor Almond, Cole Crocus, and Fitz McClure, all three at 81 miles an hour. Understand these are all 2028s to 2030s. All of these guys that we've talked about are 28s. Let's see. Another one I could jump into here real quick. Max distance, Chase Miller. Shocker, another Charlottesville area guy. 305-foot max distance for Chase. Hand speed, Cole Crocus, 22.4 miles an hour. Jake Rasnick, that's a name you're going to hear a lot of in the future. It's a name you're going to hear on this podcast tonight. He is a 2029, bat speed 73.1 miles an hour. And then we get into our 30s. Our best 30 on the day for the freshman event was Gabe Johnson, a 4.1330. And then max jump height, another 29. Logan Everett, 23.7 inches. So those are some of our statistical category leaders. Jordan, were there any pop-up guys? And pop-up guys are really easy to do for this event, right? Because, we don't know a lot of these guys. We haven't seen a lot of these guys a ton. So a pop-up guy should kind of be easy, but it doesn't have to just be a pop-up guy. It could be a guy that maybe has taken a jump. A pop-up guy, helium guy, if you want to call it that. They're maybe a little bit too young for helium guy. But what do you got here? Do you have anybody that stands out?
Yeah, and this guy definitely stood out because he was probably the tallest kid at the event. This 2029 Matthias Bala, 6'3", 201 as an eighth grader, 2029. He was up to 76 on the mound, but he's 6'3" in eighth grade. It's a lot to like for the future. So he was definitely a pop-up guy for me.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull up his profile here. Like you said, 6'3", 202. He is 13 years and 11 months. So not 14 yet. So true to his true class, true to his age. And Jordan said he had to have been the top, tallest guy there. If he wasn't the tallest guy there, I was in the wrong place because I did not see anyone, staff member, parent, player, anybody that was as tall and as big as Matthias Bala. It's tough for those guys, right? It's tough to be 13 and 6'3". You see videos of guys playing basketball at that age that are 6'5", 6'6", 6'7". You don't understand. It's hard to comprehend how those guys, and when I say move, how they're able. It's hard enough, a 5'8" kid at 13 years old, understanding how to move,
right,
and being fluid in it, and then you throw it into, you throw a young 13-year-old into a 6'3" body. So it's kind of like Baby Giraffe, figuring out how everything is going to work together. So it's something that takes time. Young features for him. And I think, I would say the sky's the limit. You're pretty close there. I guess that's a tall joke maybe. For sure. Definitely a pop-up guy. One that we hadn't seen a ton of. Very intriguing, just with the height and it's pretty proportional frame. So just watching him fill out and kind of understand movements and things like that. For me, I'm going to go Cole Crocus. He's a 2028 from Kellum, so 757. I just keep going back to the 75. As a pop-up guy, 5'9", like pretty well put together, kind of square shoulders. Looks the part, does everything pretty well. He was, like I said a minute ago, he was up to 81. He was 80 across the infield, had good hand speed at the plate. There wasn't any one tool that was, that far separated one to the other. But I thought he just did everything well. And I thought the frame and the athleticism gives him some opportunities down the road. Anything to add there, Jordan? We good?
Yeah, I mean, I really like this bullpen, controlled intent, somewhat repeatable for that age. But I mean, it was a lot to like from Kellum, future player.
All right. We're going to move on to some standouts. Now, understand, we're going to highlight some players that kind of jumped out to us, whether we've seen them before or not. And understand these aren't the only good players at the event, but these were some ones that kind of, stood above some others or stood out for whatever reason our staff thought. And we'll start off, Jordan, here with one of your favorites, Tucker Von Herbulis.
Yeah, Tucker was really impressive on the mound in his bullpen. It's a slim, wiry frame that will continue to fill out. It's controlled delivery with easy effort. He was 78, 79, worked the fastball up to 80. He showed 3 pitches, all for strikes, but the changeup was really the winner for me. He showed the best feel for that with some really nice fade in action. I definitely think there's some pitchability there. Control of 10 with the bat as well, working middle to pull side. But I definitely think he'll be interesting follow as he continues to mature.
Yeah, he was super intriguing to me, and going back and watching some of the video. It's a thin, kind of narrower frame, but you see guys at that age, like we said, kind of don't understand movements, and not necessarily that he fully understands movements, but everything was under control. Everything was just and low effort isn't necessarily a bad thing here. It wasn't like that high effort, kind of all over the place, max intent type thing. He was within himself and just everything worked, right? It wasn't some big, strong power, super tools. It's just hey, here are my tools. They have a chance to play in game. I'm under control. I'm staying within myself. It just kind of, I don't know, kind of felt like, hey, I've been here before. Right. Type of thing. And I think he has, because he's from the area and he's a Braves guy. So I think he actually had been there before. No, Tucker Von Herbulis, 2028 from Glen or is at Glen Allen High School. Sorry. Mm-hmm. Every year we get older and the grad classes change, and then we lose track of grad classes. Next one I'm going to go to Sam Graff. Oh, I don't like the way that shows up. There we go. All right. Let's see if we can figure this thing out. Nope. Okay. We're just going to have that. So I just need to make videos the different way, right? Biggest thing that stood out with me with Graff is that same thing, kind of similar to Von Herbulis, everything was under control and it was just simple for him. It wasn't some, big loud tool, but he was on the mound. He was, he moved well. It was a fairly quick arm, for his age and class. He had feel for secondary. He threw strikes. He's a little bit, I guess you could say kind of undersized right now, but he's got plenty of time. 5'8", 135, thin, athletic. I just like the way he kind of approached things. Again, everything was under control. All right. Yeah. Jordan, did you want to add anything?
Yeah, I mean, I really liked that video the changeup. I mean, he showed real good feel for the secondary, and that's definitely something intriguing, especially for this aid for them. If you can throw secondary for strikes, you're kind of ahead of the learning curve. So there's a lot to like for him.
All right, next one we're going to go to, Jordan, is Chase Miller.
Yeah, I mean, another strong showing for our JFG alum. Stood out to me immediately because he looked like he'd gotten taller since the last time we've seen him. He turned into second best 30 of the day with a 4.18. Keeps a short swing path and works gap to gap. He has feel for the barrel, and the bat shows up in game. He's just really fundamentally sound, and I really like the upside offensively as he continues to mature and get stronger.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it was, I think, similar to what we've seen before. But what stood out probably more so for me is I feel like the body has really, like, not that it wasn't a bad body or wasn't anything wrong with it, but it's like leaned up. It's like he's added lean strength. He's thinned out. I know. I believe he played football this past fall, so that may have helped some. He played football at Stab, so just the body looked just like more athletic, and just like he's starting to kind of fill into that. Um, and yeah, I thought solid day. Um, he can hit. He can do a little bit of everything. I think the athleticism is going to continue to get better. So yeah, just another, like we talked about earlier, another Charlottesville guy, another Stab guy, that they continue to grow things over there at St. Anne's Belfield. Next one we're going to go into is Fitz McClure. Fitz McClure is a 2028. Goes to Trinity Episcopal School, 6 foot, 196. I think the biggest thing that stood out with Fitz is like he's always in not in a bad way. He's always been kind of bigger, like a bigger kid, like taller than everybody, more filled out than everyone. But I don't think the like functional strength has necessarily been there in the past, to where it showed up like in what he was doing in game or in a workout even, whether it be impact or arm strength or whatever. And I think it's like I feel like anyway, for me, the last time I saw him, there's a big gap, or a big jump that he has taken since the last time that I've seen him. The arm strength has gotten better. I want to say he was second best exit velo on the day at 89. It just the ball seemed to come off harder. The ball came off the bat harder. The ball came out of the hand harder. Like everything he did, it just seemed like he was just much stronger.
Yeah, for me, I really like his BP rounds. The short barrel path. He worked the middle to pull side during his rounds. I think there's some power projection there as he continues to mature. But also on the mound, he was 77 to 80, touched 81, displayed 2 different breaking balls. So I'm interested to see what he does this year. He may play some sort of role, whether it's on the mound, offensively for Trinity Episcopal this spring.
All right, next one we're going to. We can awkwardly, Jordan, if you lean to your left, you can get your face in there. See yeah, your left. Isn't that your left?
Good.
Yeah. All right. Braxton Price. All right, so that was a video of Braxton Price, another JFG alum, Southwest Virginia guy. We had a good showing of Southwest Virginia guys at this event. Also, this upcoming freshman free event this weekend, as well as our Lynchburg event. Man, I'm super excited to see more of those guys. Yeah. Like Braxton is a John Battle kid, JFG. I think like again, similar to what we talked about, like it's not like super tools. It's just like he hits, he gets on barrel. He's on time pretty consistently. Behind the plate, he was pretty accurate to the bag. It was a pretty quick exchange. He gets on the mound, he throws some strikes, he can spin it in there. And then it's just a thing like let the maturity and let the physicality kind of develop. I know Coach Gobble and those guys down there do a good job of hitting the weight room and getting those guys more physical and more athletic. So I think like let that happen and let him mature with that. And then these, his fundamentals and his ability and how he can show up in game will like take off even more, because the tools are going to kind of catch up to with where he is, just baseball wise. So I thought it was a good day for him. I liked him behind the plate. I thought he did a really good job. Jordan, anything to add there on Braxton?
Yeah, kind of like what you said. I really enjoyed his catcher pops the other day. Was pretty close to bag accuracy. But the thing with him, this kid loves to compete. So he already has that competitive edge. Once the tools continue to grow, get stronger, I think he would be a chance to be a pretty good ball player.
All right. We're going to go back to the Charlottesville area. Trevor Almond. This is a guy that we've seen a few times, not a ton. We've seen him a few times, but good. Probably first thing that stands out for me is the body. 6 foot, 168, kind of longer limbs, a higher waist, like just kind of good physical makeup. Um, I thought I liked him probably best on the mound, but there was some athleticism there. There were some things to like positionally as well. But he was up to 81. I think it's definitely an arm that has more projection and has some ceiling there. Jordan, anything to add with Trevor?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot to like with the body. I think it became pretty easy for him on the mound. I think also hit him with his BP rounds. I thought it looked pretty easy, short barrel path. But I mean, I think with the frame as he continues to mature, Velo would take up, get stronger, and things look bright for him.
All right, now coming back to the Richmond area, I know this was a favorite of yours, Logan Everett, 2029. I think he will end up going to Goochland, correct?
Yeah, Gucci.
Um, let's see here. Go to pull up. 5'10", 155 pounds. Outfielder, right-handed pitcher. Jordan, what you got?
Yeah, I've seen Logan in game over this past fall, but this is my really first in-depth look, and I walked away impressed with him. It's a strong base at the plate, short barrel path. He showed feel for the barrel, 75% sweet spot percentage during his rounds. He worked up to 76 on the mound as well. Showed the ability to spin for strikes, showed confidence in his changeup. He has really nice fade and tumble. I think it's a really nice foundation for a current eighth grader. Fundamentally sound, and I think as he continues to get stronger, I think the future is bright for him.
Yeah, I like the two things. I like the left-handed swing. Obviously, it's hard not to like left-handed swing, right? Um, I like the left-handed swing. I like the athleticism. Um, it's not like it's not a big-time run tool right now, but he's a 29. It's thin. Like he'll grow into that. He'll get stronger, um, and that'll help with the run part. But the jump height, 23.7. He had the best one. He had, one of the best RSIs, or he was kind of in that mix. Um, but best jump height, he had some vertical, he has some explosion. Um, I think that you can tell that Dad is a coach. Um, he just kind of fundamentally sound, well-rounded player, and like most importantly, it shows up in game. He's not what I would call just like a show pony, guy who shows up and is just all over the place, just letting everything rip, and it doesn't show up in game. So I think that's most important. Now we're gonna go to another, I believe another 29. Sorry, let me pull it up here. We're going to another 29. Garner Hedrick, potentially he's in the Ashland area, obviously, and potentially go to Patrick Henry is what is listed right now. 5'11", 163, left-handed hitter, left. Jordan, what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, fundamentally sound, be able to turn the barrel at that age. I mean, it's really a lot to like. You can tell he's been around the game of baseball, really worked. But I think there's some upside there, especially being with a left-handed bat, left-handed bias anyway. But I mean, I think there's a lot to like for the future for him with his fundamentals that he already possesses right now.
Who's not left-handed hitter bias? That's what I want to know. So second fastest overall hand speed, or max hand speed, and fastest hand speed average. And I think what stood out to me, like with the hand speed and looking at some of the data sets, is it wasn't like one outlier that ran those numbers up, right? Like he was consistently quick hands through the zone. He's strong. You can tell the kid's been in the weight room. He's probably got access to a pretty good weight room and some strength programs. But you can tell he's been in the weight room. It's a stronger frame. Again, similar to like a Logan Everett. It's fundamentally sound. He's not like going way out of his means to try to, chase numbers or chase this or, whatever. He's staying within himself and it functions in game. And I think that's the biggest thing, like for guys, like, yes, it's always fun to see a 6'7" runner, 100 exit velo, a guy who's 90 across the infield. But I told these guys before the event, it doesn't matter if you come here and you run a ground ball, halfway across the infield and you throw it 90 miles an hour if it doesn't function in game. And that's the one thing that we try to get across to these guys in event, especially the younger ones, like do stuff that functions in game. If I'm sitting here watching a video, I see a kid take a ground ball and he does the 15 shuffles that we have seen from some other places across the infield. What does that do? It doesn't do anything, right? So like when Garner was there in the outfield, the throws were low. They were on line, right? They were low. They were on line. He got it in. He got it out. The swing functions. He wasn't trying to do too much. It's quick hands. It's good body. Like there's a lot to be excited for some of these guys in the future because they're going about these workouts the right way and showing, hey, I can do this. This translates to gameplay. And I think, like, for me, that's most important. I know it's kind of soapboxish, but there was a couple guys there in a row that I felt like, are kind of those guys. Like, hey, we're showing up and we're showing that we can play baseball, not just, like, come out here and hit a ball far in BP, right? Now, another one we've kind of seen do both is another 29. So we're going to run a 29s here. And for me, like this one was ultra impressive on the day. And I got to make sure I get this right because I'll probably get a message from Jake that I didn't say it right. Jake Rasnick, 2029. I guess he will end up going to Honecker, right?
Yeah.
So out there with Connor Music and the boys, 2029, 5'11", 143 pounds. We saw him this past year. I believe it was at Liberty for a TPG, correct?
Yeah, I believe so.
He was impressive, and he was pretty young for that event. But like switch hitter, he's got some bat speed, got some hand speed, can impact from both sides. It's a quick barrel path. And man, it was funny. I think it was him and Braxton Price. They were doing infield together, and Jake comes up and takes a ground ball, and I'm standing out there with the infielders. Jake comes up, takes a ground ball, and lets it rip across the infield. And like I said, it was functional. And Braxton's standing beside me, and Braxton's super personable kid. He goes, "Coach, that kid can play a little bit." and obviously, he's probably seen Jake because they're from, I would say, a similar area or southwest Virginia. But yeah, I was impressed with Jake. Everything he did, he got ready to leave. I was like, and I hadn't necessarily looked in depth at the pitching list, and I was like, Jake, are you not pitching? He was like, no, sir, not today. And I'm out of here. So just like really good kid, really personable. Jordan, anything to add on Jake?
Yeah, he was, like you said, he was impressive. There's some intent with the swing, but it's controlled intent. Lifts the baseball. So definitely a lot to like, especially in a switch hitter, especially in this age, showing intent and controlled on both sides. So it's not a lot to like for the future for him.
For sure. I do want to give one shout out. I'm trying to pull it up here. I want to give one shout out, and I think, don't quote me, and I'm sure he'll take the compliment if I give it and it wasn't him. But it's a 2030 out of Hanover, smaller guy, probably the smallest guy at the event, Levi Bennett. took an extremely good round of infield. And, you talk about first impressions. Like, he goes to leave. And, again, smaller guy, younger guy, pretty small hands. He comes up to shake my hand and leaves and looks me in the eye. And I'm talking like the firmest handshake from a seventh grader you could ever. Did he get you too?
Yeah, he got me too. Yeah.
Dude, I was so impressed. Seriously. And I know that's probably like old school, whatever you want to call it. But like firm handshake, look you in the eyes, tell you thank you, appreciative, good kid, could defend. Smaller than everybody else. Like there's no, that's not necessarily a secret or anything there, but like first impressions, right? Sam Graff, great kid, super appreciative of everything. Like those are huge. Those I probably take away more so from the personable side of events sometimes than the baseball side.
Yeah.
Like finding out who these kids are as people, listening to them with their peers and seeing how they interact, seeing the character and makeup side. And I know it's just like a quick glimpse and surface level look onto the character because everybody can kind of fake it till you make it. Shout out to Levi, Sam Graff, plenty of others, but those are just one or two that stuck out on Saturday at that event. From the character makeup appreciation type side. Jordan, anything else to add as we kind of wrap up?
I mean, all around, I think it was a good event, especially defensively. That group could definitely defend. We were talking about it after the event. Like this might have been the best like defensive group for like a Ride Stars freshman event that we've ran. So that they were definitely present on the defensive side of the ball for sure.
Yeah, Grady C. and Levi Bennett were two 20-30s that could defend a little bit. The freshman guys could really defend. Really like the infielders as a whole from that event, like Jordan said, just kind of piggybacking on that. And remember, these guys are young, right? This is like dipping their toe in the water of events and kind of getting their name out there, if you will, even if they're freshmen, eighth grade, whatever. We get this question all the time, like, when do we start? Well, that's a personal decision. It's a personal preference. I don't want to say like everybody's like, oh, well, my numbers, we're not ready yet. Okay, well, nobody's, actively recruiting a seventh or eighth grader anyway. So like, do your numbers have to be? It gives you a good comparison and stance as to where you stack up versus your peers. Right. And it dips your toe in that water. Like this was a pretty, I think in my opinion, it was a pretty relaxed, I guess you could say, environment where it wasn't 100 things going on at once to where everybody was kind of overwhelmed. It was kind of ease into that environment, that type of showcase environment. So I thought they did a tremendous job. I know we spent probably a good amount of time on that event as a whole. Cole Cornelius, that's another one, a ranked 28, who continues to impress just the physicality and body and how things function. Some bigger tools. He might have had some of the best tools as a whole from that event. All right, you ready to move on to preseason All-State?
Yep.
All right. Here we go. First one. Who we got here, Jordan?
We have 2026 Liam Bunner from Battlefield High School. He threw an impressive bullpen on Sunday. He has added noticeable strength to his frame, showed a 3-pitch mix, was 87, 88 with the fastball, has downhill playing in some late life, showed a low 70s curveball that he landed for strikes with some late depth. But it's good to see the velo jump. That would definitely come in handy with the Battlefield pitching staff this spring. Definitely excited to get out there and see those guys for sure.
Yeah, and I got away from our order of how we're supposed to do things here. So I'll kind of pivot a little bit, and then we'll jump back into players in just a second. But I know we talked about stats leaders for that freshman event. We'll jump on some stats leaders here. Kaysen Chada, 2026 from Centerville, led infield velocity at 86. Caleb Brown, strong, kind of compact athlete from West Springfield. We talked about a minute ago, like, personable kids, well-mannered kids, character kids. He seemed like one of those guys. 27. He was 88 from the outfield. Um, he led the outfield velocity. Matthew Kane, plenty of arm strength out of that 27 from King George. He led catcher velo at 81. He also led pop times 191, 199. Jake Gunning, 26, super physical bat out of Highland School, 99. I think it was 99.4 exit velo. So he was a 10th from clipping from it going up to 100. But 99 exit velo for Jake. We had 3 arms lead the fastball category, with Liam Bunner, Kason Chada, and Lucas Harbor all being 88-mile-an-hour arms, all 2026s. All Nova kids, Bunner at Battlefield, Kason at Centerville, and Harbor at Riverside. Let's see, what was the top one overall? However, Lucas Harbor did lead technically with an 88.0, and our other guys were 87.9, 87.9, 87.7. Hitting. So our average distance, Jake Gunning led that, 257 feet. He also led max distance at 367 feet. Blast numbers, Jake Gunning, 24.7 on hand speed. Hand speed average was also Jake Gunning at 23.4. Bat speed, we're going to switch Gunnings. Josh Gunning, freshman, 2028, Battlefield, 81.9 on the max and average 75.8. Visual skills, so our visual edge score, Charlie DePippo, 2026, led that with 85.37. Let's see, Vald, RSI, best RSI. I'm not going to do that one. Nope, we're not going to do it. That's my pop-up guy, so I'm not going to let that cat out the bag. I'm not letting that. Nope, you're not getting that one. 30-yard, 363 from Nico Moritz Toledo. Just an absolute elite runner. He also led the vert with 27.8 inches, followed closely by Battlefield teammate, and travel teammate, Christian Gomez with 27.6. So those are some of our leaders. We talked about Liam Bunner. Jump back on here. He's made a really good jump. It's a high slot. Like you said, he's up to 88. It's a downer breaking ball. It's a really good jump for him. Could be an important arm to add some depth to that Battlefield staff. Who could use it, right? They could definitely use. They could definitely use the depth this year, and hopefully everybody stays healthy and they continue to evolve, as a staff and as a team. Next one we're going to, we talked about a second ago, is Kason Chada, right-handed arm from Centerville. Kason is 5'8", 164. Probably more compact frame, good athlete. He's got some arm strength. He's got some athleticism. He can swing it a little bit at the plate. I like where the arm is headed. Let's see if we can pull it back up here. Like a higher three-quarter slot. Again, pretty good mover down the mound. It's a tight slider. Has a little bit of depth there. I think he could be, joining Gambone and some of those other guys on that Centerville staff. He could potentially have, a big junior year for Centerville. And I know that, they had some big wins last year, especially their one over top-seeded Yorktown in the region, conference. I don't know, district. I don't know how everywhere in Northern Virginia kind of does it different. Like one does district and only 2 teams make it out and go to region and this, that, and the other. But they did have a very good playoff win, so I think Chada can add to some of that depth. Jordan, anything to add on Kason?
Yeah, I mean, it's a short, quick arm. The thing is, he continues to work, get stronger. I feel like each time out we see him, like the velo ticks up. So the guy obviously works hard, so that's a lot to like as you go forward with him into his junior year.
All right, now we're going to move to a sophomore Battlefield kid, we just touched on him just a little bit. Christian Gomez. Let's see, left. Well, he's left, 6'1", 167, 168. Got a lot of physicality, man. Athleticism. Jordan, what was your takeaway here?
Yeah, he definitely passes the eye test with his athletic ability and frame. His long levers, he still has some more room to fill. But his minimal movement, tight barrel turns. He turned in a 4 flat on the 30, 96.1 X velo, 89.1 average X velo, then a 74 average bat speed with a 78.2 max bat speed. So it's easy effort in the swing that impacts the baseball. I'm really excited to see how all this translates in game this spring. So there's a lot to like.
All right. Staying at Battlefield, I guess. Josh Gunning, 2028, our number 2 in the 28 class. Quick, short arm. I liken it to like a little bit of a Jack O'Connor-ish short arm action. You like that? You like that one? He was, I think he was up to 87. Am I right, Jordan?
Yeah, 87.
He was up to, 87. What, he was 86.5, 87. So he had some feel for his secondary. Interested to see where the body goes. Not necessarily in a bad way, but brother is enormous. I talked to them and joked around with them. I asked Jake. I was like, "Hey, kind of where were you at this point?" I think he said like 6'1", 6'1", around the same time. Interested to see, not necessarily if Josh gets the same size as Jake, but if he kind of closes that gap, or where he's going to end up. You never know. Like we've seen guys that we've seen guys that are smaller and we don't think project, and they take off a little bit, and then we've seen guys kind of just plateau and kind of stay around the same size. So interested to see that. He also put up some impressive swings in BP. He's not. It's probably more proportional than it is thin, or than it is like super strong and physical. It's just kind of even across the board as far as the frame goes. But he put up some like impressive bat speed, and he could really get the barrel through for being a younger guy. So I think it was controlled. Like he was able to generate that from a pretty short stroke, and everything about it was controlled, and he was just able to kind of turn it with some serious bat speed. Jordan, anything you want to add there?
Yeah, for me, what was really impressive was his defensive workout. He was one of the first guys to go. He was excited. He was, all right, let's go. I really liked the pace, got the ball out the glove, quick release. And that's very important for an infielder, like we kind of talked about earlier. So that was exciting to see find a spot in the Battlefield infield this spring.
We're going to go over to brother Jake Gunning. As you can see, there's a touch difference in the size of those two. I tell you, like, just extremely physical kid, 6'3", 227 pounds. It's proportional, strong lower half. I know we talked about some of the leaders with the distance and the exit velo and all that stuff. I know that Highland lost, some kind of pop in the middle of that order. He may be able to pick up right where they left off, or better. Like he's a pretty physical bat, and it just comes off a little bit different. And you see, it's pretty controlled here. It's not just kind of all over the place, a ton of moving parts.
Yeah, no, his rounds were definitely loud. Seemed like it came easy. So definitely interesting to see how he does this spring.
All right, 2027, Matthew Kane, King George. Compact frame, really strong lower half, plenty of arm strength. Up to 88, you see there that breaker. Like when he lands that thing, he's going to get some chases on it. He didn't land it a ton on Sunday, the breaking ball, but it has arm speed. It has depth. I really liked it. I mean, it was 76, 77 on the slider, 76, 77 on the curveball. I just want to see where he had the highest hop score on pitch scores at 100. He had the highest hammer plus score at 89, second best sweep plus score at 111. Had the best sweep plus and best hammer score on slider as well. So he led a lot of those pitch scores categories, meaning that they have good shape and they have good life, and the metrics and makeup of those pitches is good. Again, I would have liked to have seen him land it a little bit more, but I mean, it's it's February. It was February 9th, right? It was February 9th. It was an indoor setting. It was a new catcher, somebody who's probably never caught him before. And it's a quick bullpen. So like we've seen him land it in game. But I think the more he can land that, the more effective he will be, obviously. But I think it's just I think it's arm over positional right now, but it's hard to walk away from the arm strength behind the plate. Jordan, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm the same way. I think it's arm or positional right now. Like you said, we've seen it in game. The slider definitely gets some swing and miss in game. Quick arm. So definitely a lot to like for the future for him on the mound as well, possibly behind the dish too.
All right. Next one we're moving to here, Bo Paget. Jordan.
Yeah. Bo has definitely put on some nice strength since last look. Athletic mover, quick arm. Fastball has ticked up. He ran up to 87 on Sunday, sitting 85, 86. I really, really like the cutter. He wasn't on my mound, but I peeped over. I was like, okay, that's coming out a little bit different. Cutter had really nice shape and movement. He could land it for strikes. Changeup has late fading action as well. But really some good stuff that he showed on Sunday, and definitely could help out Lake Braddock on the mound this spring.
Yeah, I mean, like when I've seen him, and it's been probably more so in workout settings than anything, it's just been like, hey, this is probably more pitchability. Like the stuff has been a little bit lighter. And obviously he's still got some room to kind of take some jumps and stuff as a 26 in terms of velo. But it was definitely, like you said, it was a significant leap forward from what we've seen before. He worked quicker. He looked more athletic. He still lands the secondary stuff, but the velo has ticked up. So the stuff and just how he is moving has gotten better, and the pitchability has remained, I think.
Yeah.
So I was super impressed. I was bouncing around a little bit all over the place and caught a little bit of his bullpen, and then saw some of the video, and then saw some of the numbers. So I was really impressed with the jump that Bo has made this offseason. All right, our last one that we're going to talk about before we jump onto some pop-up guys is Nico Moritz Toledo. Jordan?
Yeah, it was a standout day from the Hokies commit. He added some evident strength, and it has translated over. Short, compact swing, works gap to gap. He had a 97.7 top exit velo, 76.4 max bat speed, and he turned in a 3.6, 330. Premium runner, and run definitely plays in game. Brings a versatile offense. He'll drag bunt you to depth and be able to turn the barrel for extra bases. I think it's a big spring incoming for the sophomore.
And we saw him, honestly, for me, I saw him use the bunt a little bit more in and I know it sounds crazy, but in like 7th grade or going into his 8th grade year at JFG when they won it. I saw him use that a little bit more. I wish he would use it a little bit more in high school. And you could say in travel as well. Like I wish, and I think it's just going to open so much up for him offensively. And I think just kind of play to his strength a little bit, not necessarily with the bunt, but just the offensive approach as a whole, play to his strength of running, putting pressure on the defense. When he gets on base, stealing like nonstop. And I know some of that might be out of his hands, but really showing how that run tool plays in game. Right. I've seen him at times where you come out to the game and you're like, yes, he is a premium runner. It shows up in game, all that. And then I've seen him at times where maybe it doesn't show up as often. So like just understanding the type of runner and the type of impact he can have on the game with his speed and putting that into the game action. But the impact and the physicality that he has added was impressive, I thought.
Yeah.
I'm, excited, intrigued, whatever you want to call it, in getting the chance to see how it is going to translate to gameplay when it comes time for the spring. We're talking about the potential of a higher end guy because of some of the tools that he has, because of, the bat speed, because of honestly just the run tool has the potential and is so far in a way better than everyone else. We're talking a legit like 6'3", maybe a touch lower runner. Probably a bad day is like a 6'4". So, just seeing that a little bit more in game this spring is kind of that next step for me, right? Putting the ball in play consistently, using your speed. That's just something you can't teach, right?
Sure.
But the old saying, can't steal first.
Yeah.
Right. Unless, what is it, the Atlantic League or something like that? I don't even know if that's a rule anymore, where you swing and can, just run. Yeah, I'm excited to see Nico and where everything shows up in game this spring. Jordan, pop-up guys. Any pop-up guys for you?
Yeah, my very first arm of the day, 2027 Philip Lau. Completely personal kid. Oh, did I take yours?
Yeah, kind of a little bit.
Oops. Well, the phenomenal kid, great conversation. Then he hops on the mound. Sinker heavy, 83, 84. Showed feel for a slide, not a slider, a cutter, in the low 80s. Pitch. I think some pitchability there. So compact frame, but he can mix pitches. Looks like he'll be able to compete. So definitely another arm to add some depth to that PBI staff for sure.
Tell you one for me, it would have been Paget, but we talked about him for for the standouts. One that kind of jumped to me a little bit. I don't think I'd ever seen, really like kind of locked in a little bit, if you will. Austin Westcott, 5'10", 173 pounds, 2028. He is a Briarwoods kid. I think probably most importantly for me, he's true, if not a little bit young. He's a 28. He's not 15 yet. Like he is, I think he won't be 15 until like July. And so he's super young. And probably most importantly for me was the athleticism and the explosiveness that stood out. Had one of the better verts, had the best RSI, had one of the better 30s. The athleticism and potential explosiveness from Westcott, I liked. He was a pop-up guy for me. Again, hadn't really seen a ton, kind of in person and locked in, if you will. There were some other guys. I thought Jonathan Coupland showed some improved athleticism. I thought he turned the barrel better than what we've seen him. I know we talked about Caleb Brown earlier with the arm strength. We've talked about a fair number of guys. Walker McElwain has a chance to impact the Bishop O'Connell lineup this spring. Porter Speece, good athleticism, some good impact at the plate. Sidwell Friends, 6'2", 190 pound, 2026. Chaz Willis, we're talking about athletes. Chaz Willis, Gonzaga, strong, athletic, 5'11", 183. I thought there were a number of guys that kind of stood out, just in some different areas and in different capacities. Chase Adams, I thought he had a good round. He was controlled at the plate. He was pretty consistent on barrel. We talk about like projection arms. Lucas Harbor, big, cool kid. Up to 88, 6'3", 201 pounds. Ryan Hartle, I know Jake I know Jake likes some of the projection with Hartle 6'4", 206. There's some big kids there. Wepner, I think, is going to be a weapon for – you like that, didn't you?
Yeah.
He's going to be a weapon for Battlefield this year. 6 foot, 196 pounds, 85 to 86 on the mound. Threw some big innings as a sophomore last year for Battlefield. And I think that'll only continue to expand. He had probably one of the best mixes of the day with some of the secondary stuff that he was able to show and land. I thought just great all-around day. Excited for another weekend of it. Jordan, anything else to add before we move to a very, very, very quick sneak peek of this weekend's rosters?
Yeah, I had one guy that I do want to talk about that was kind of a pop-up guy for me. Creed and Reasons 2027 from James Madison, former JFG guy a couple years ago. It's been a while since we've seen him. But I like BP round specifically. That second round, he opened up a little bit, turned the barrel. I think there's a chance to impact in the near future. But definitely another good look at him.
All right. Now, do you have the rosters pulled up?
Yes.
Look at you. I was hoping you were going to say no. So we
could
say you weren't prepared, but here we are. Imagine that. Jordan's prepared. Preseason All-State West is probably a sore subject, so Jordan's probably going to remove himself from the chat. Jordan has to be in Northern Virginia, which I know he'll be excited with, but I know he was excited to get down to the Lynchburg area for a couple of different reasons. One is what? What's one reason, Jordan?
My favorite food spot in Lynchburg. Hit that up every time after an event or when I'm in the area. Shakers, best catfish in the area. That's one reason. And two, some of the players that will be there. But definitely Shakers was number one on my list.
What'd you say?
I said Shakers was definitely number one on my list.
Oh, man. All right. Well, players who are going to be at the West event, my number one is seeing the players. But definitely a close second. Definitely a close second is Shaker's Salt and Pepper Catfish as well. So shameless plug. If we could get a sponsorship with Shaker's,
please,
that'd be great. The only thing we ask is we'll give you free advertisement if you give Jordan and I free Salt and Pepper Catfish when we come to Lynchburg, which is only a couple times a year, so they're not going to be out of a ton. When we come, we're ready to do work. But yes, looking forward to Salt and Pepper Catfish. I'm gonna send Jordan pictures. All right, couple guys that jump out initially. I'm just gonna run through. Honestly, just probably a list for me. Seth Carter, Eric Davis. I'm gonna leave one for you. I'm gonna leave one for you, and if you miss it, you're fired. Mason Hale, Becky Gilliland, Evan Lee, and these are some guys that we have seen before and maybe haven't seen in a little bit. Ready to see again. TJ McLaughlin we saw in the fall at state games. Good sized left-handed arm out of Stanton River. Is it Stanton or Staunton? Staunton.
I don't know. Stanton.
Okay, I go with Stanton, but I feel like I've heard somebody say Staunton. Aries Oliver from Northside, Casey Rector from Battle. Again, we have a couple of Battle and Abingdon kids and far Southwest Virginia kids. Bryce Tolbert, excited to see him. We didn't get a chance to see him this fall. Ready to see kind of where he's at and if he's taking a jump. For me, I got two, but I'm going to leave one for Jordan. I'm going to take the other one, though. You're not getting this one. Bryce Torres, shortstop out of LCA, Liberty Christian Academy. Watched him play defensively and in-game last year for LCA. Didn't get a chance to hit, was a little bit dinged up. He's healthy again. He's ready to go. He could be a pop-up guy on some people's radars. Should be now. And the plan is to really, really, as long as he shows well and as long as he does what we expect, to really, really pump some stuff out on him after this weekend. Excited to get a chance to see him. Jordan, what you got?
2027 catcher Judge Dillo from Abingdon High School. won't be able to be there, but I'm expecting a full report on him. Physical hitting catcher, impacts the baseball, hit tool. I think there's hit tool there too as well. But definitely got out, passes the eye test immediately. But excited to hear about him on Saturday.
Judgy, don't worry. Jordan has abandoned you, but I have not. Jordan may or may not have been forced to abandon, but it was definitely against his will. He went kicking and screaming. I think as soon as we got off the phone from me telling Jordan that he had to go to a different place, he said some not so nice things about me probably. Um, but Jordan's got the like fake laugh going on because he knows he did. Um,
No.
but no, over 30 players there this weekend. Excited to see some guys that we've seen before and want to get updated, and obviously maybe some guys who we haven't seen as much and want to get a chance to get an initial look at. So pretty pumped about that. Moving on to the freshman free. We're not going to dive into the rising stars a lot. Jordan and I talked about this. A lot of those guys we just haven't seen, A, at all, and B, it may have been like a year from this event that we last saw them.
Did we lose you there?
And you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Was that you or me?
I don't know.
I don't know either. Hopefully we're good. But it might have been like a year, so like some significant changes could have happened. So we're going to keep it kind of to the freshman free event. Jordan, what you got? You got anybody?
Yeah.
I'm not going to go through this whole list.
Yeah, I got two that I'm interested in seeing. 2028 Jack Arth from Highland School. We've heard some things about him. And it's been a while since we've seen him, so I definitely want to get another look at him. And then James Vanderpost, we saw him during the summer TPG 2 event, I believe, 2029.
Yeah, him and Raznick.
What's that?
Him and
Raznick.
Raznick.
Yeah, I think he showed well there. Definitely one of the younger guys there. So excited to get another look at him as well. So those are two guys I'm really looking forward to seeing.
You left me with a layup here.
Go ahead.
Appreciate that. Antonio Burke, 2028 out of Highland. Excited to get a chance to see him. Like good body, physical, athletic, swing plays. Excited to get a chance to get him there. And I'll tell you one for me. I saw the other week when I was up at Complete Game, just watching some players. Really hadn't seen him for the most part since last time or this time last year when we were at this event. Braden Cronin. I liked the swing. I guess a flatter path. He's gotten bigger. He's gotten a little bit bigger. He's gotten stronger. But I just liked his ability to get on time. He was in the cage, and I know like everybody can time up a fastball, right? Well, yeah, but it had a little bit of fuzz on it. I think it was like mimicking like upper 80s, something like that. But he was able to get there consistently. Obviously, there's physicality to be added and all that stuff. But I just kind of liked how the swing played that day. And like Jordan said, I'm anxious to get a full report from Jordan Jones and the boss man and Nolan on how everything goes on Saturday. So not getting into Sunday. Or actually, are we? Yeah, we're getting into Sunday. Why not? I mean, we're an hour and 14 minutes in. Why not get into Sunday, right? So we're right at 70 kids for the Richmond event. Jordan, anything that you want to, anybody you want to touch on real quick for that event?
Yeah, I'm gonna leave your one to you, but definitely excited to see Aiden Tuck. He's a guy, some loud tools guy, definitely someone could play a decent role for Powhatan this year. So it's definitely excited to see him again. So yeah.
I was like, man, I'm gonna swing and miss on this one, but nope, I'm gonna hit this one at the park.
No
this This is like ball in the tee. Tyler Caperton, Eastern View. It's funny. I was at Complete Game, and I got to talking to Mike Colangelo about Caperton, and so he actually called Dad. He called Tyler's dad. Got on the phone. We started talking about like trying to get him to an event, this, that, and the other. And his dad kind of laughed. And he was like, "Yeah." He was like, "I heard you were going to be sitting outside of tryouts or whatever, camped out watching." I was like, "What?" I was like, "You listen?" He was like, "Yeah." He was like, "We listen." And so you're probably not listening at this point. We're an hour and 15 in. But yeah, I was excited, or I am excited to get a chance to see him in person. One of our top ranked 2028s, switch hitting middle infielder. Again, kind of only seen video. Some of our guys have seen him in person. I have not had a chance to see him in person yet, so I am juiced. I may sleep at Iron Bridge Saturday night. Some others, Gray Craddock, who could potentially play a large role behind the plate for LCA this year as a 2027. I'm excited to see him. Henry Kite, see where he is before we go into this season. The King William right-hander. Man, it's an endless list. Dominic Webb, outfielder from Hanover, 2028, left-handed bat, I believe, right, Jordan? Any left-handed bat? We saw him. I think we saw him obviously at the Braves Scout Day, and then we saw him again at the Hanover Scout Day. 6'2", 183, like good body, good physical makeup. Braden Jacoby, he's made a nice jump. See Favreau spin it. I mean, we could sit here and talk about this event for days. Andrew Cole could be a huge arm for Walsingham, 2026 uncommitted. Will Camara, James River, one of Jordan's favorites. Cohen Berkeley from Lunenburg, out in the cut, out at Central.
Yes, sir.
They still the Chargers, is that right?
Yeah, Chargers. Yep.
So got an arm coming down from Nova. Luke Ayer, excited to see. Think he's taken a little jump from video I've seen from Madison High School. Jacob Babcock, going to see him again. Like, yeah, it's a long list with no way. But we'll go through everybody afterwards. So, no, just excited to get a chance to see what this weekend, about another 160, 170, 180 players this weekend, somewhere in that territory. So, huge weekend for us in Virginia, D.C., and ready to see a bunch more talent. And the college season kicks off on Friday, the Division I college season. So fire me up a little bit. Time to get back on the road.
Yes,
Jordan, anything else?
Nope, all good. Ready to roll.
All right, folks, appreciate y'all joining us. I know it was a little bit long, but we had a ton to get to, a ton of players to talk about. For Jordan Jones, I am Jason Burton signing off of another episode of